sure as hell been going down the drain.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
And now, live, unedited, unrehearsed, and unapologetic, brought to you by Imperial Fire Alarm and Security, securing your world. Straight off the ledge, it's JD and Smitty!
This is the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96K Rock. The phone lines are open, 277-9600. Or for the viewers on the Ledge Cam, it's 239-775-9600. You can catch us streaming live video on theledgeradioshow.com and check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/The Ledge Radio Show. Thanks to Tripod Billy behind the glass and our producer, Sick Rick. Smitty, what's up?
Big week this week, but before we get started, I want to thank all our sponsors. D Squared Construction, Kevin Dwyer, if you're looking to do some renovations or fixing your house up, he's the man to call. Look for him on Google if you can't find him. And Imperial Fire Alarm and Security, securing your world. They also specialize in security and CCTV, so look for them and give them a call as well.
All right, thanks, Smitty. This morning we're pleased to present a new guest. He's not been with us yet. In studio with us today is state congressional candidate Chauncey Solinger, running for District 76. Chauncey, thanks for being with us, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Let's give him the official welcome.
That is, that's not the official welcome. That's Smitty's welcome.
I got another one.
and just to clear it up, it's state representative, just so they don't get me confused.
Right.
Oh, okay, very good. Yeah, I'm going to delete that from my
With
page.
two
here.
L's. Two L's, by the way.
No, one L.
Is it one L?
One L. I defamed you on Facebook earlier. I spelled your name wrong. That's my bad. So, District 76. What does District 76 incorporate? What areas does that cover?
The district was redistricted about 2 months ago, so it's ironic, and this is the first time it's ever happened, really. But from the day the redistricting happens to the general election in this race, which is August 14th this year, open primary, is 4 months. So this is a very small amount of time, and everyone's shuffling around. We have a guy from Port Charlotte that's running. Thought this was his district, or up there was going to be his district. Now he's running, an hour away from where he normally would live.
He doesn't have to live in his district?
Well, you do, but
you do. I
do live
You
here,
actually
yes.
do, and I got to congratulate you, because so many times you see people that are running for different offices in different places, and they don't even live in the area.
So they don't even know the
They
area.
don't even know. This guy actually lives in the area. I was stunned to hear that.
Yeah. Well, and our district is Bonita, Estero, all the way to Gladiola, so that includes San Carlos Park, Island Park, and everything south of Gladiola and Iona, and then Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva Island,
All the fun areas.
Pine Island, Matlacha, and Boca Grande.
You lost me there. No.
Isn't that where you resort out there in Captiva?
No, Captiva is nice, but no, I can't afford to resort out there. I got a buddy who lives up in Boca Grande. You mentioned Boca Grande?
It is. Our district is so spread out.
It is.
It takes. I've probably driven close to 5,000 miles in the last 2 months.
Pulling that big trailer?
Pulling that big trailer.
The one you run over the shrubs with?
Yes. Sorry about that.
What do you pull that trailer with? What kind of car?
It's a big diesel truck.
What brand?
Ford.
It's a Ford.
Nice Ford.
I had to make
First
sure.
on race day.
First on race day.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, and I know there's a lot of things going on. Now you mentioned that that this seat is an open seat, and so it's only going to be decided in the primary, is what it sounds like, because there's not a person running on the Democrat ticket.
That's right, and this is the first time in Lee County history this has ever happened.
Oh man, I could have been on the ticket.
You could have
man.
been.
Dang it!
So Democrats, Independents, and Republicans in my particular race will vote August 14th, or if they're an early voter, they're going to get mail ballots that went out Friday. They'll have an opportunity to vote in this race.
So you got 1 month.
1 month.
1 month till August 14th. From
Everybody
today.
running can actually advertise on our show if you'd like. Please contact us.
They sure could. Yeah, just check us out.
You could go against this guy.
JD at theledgeradioshow.com or Smitty at theledgeradioshow.com. Phone lines are 239-775-9600 or 277-9600. And I got a couple questions I want to ask you before we get into some of the hot topic issues around the nation that may affect Florida, may affect our area, because a lot of people think that even though it's an issue that happens at the federal level, they think how will that affect us? They always think that way, but all that stuff trickles down to the state, especially when we sometimes rely on federal monies for for some of our programs and what have you. But let's get into some of the local things for you. How has the local business and residential community responded to your campaign? What have you seen from that?
Overwhelming. If you go anywhere in my district, you'll see my sign within probably a 2-mile radius. I have absolutely the most support from our Lee County businesses in my district. If you go left from the studio, or if you go right from the studio, you'll see one of my signs.
And you don't
Solinger.
just prop those signs up on somebody's property without asking.
No, in fact, a lot of them have asked me to put up a sign. Finally, a small business owner that represents us is running. This is what they want.
Who's your big competition?
Well, I mean,
who's running against you?
I'm running against Ray Rodriguez, who works at FGCU, and I'm running against Michael Grant, who owns an ambulance transport company out of Port Charlotte.
Okay.
And that's another, one of the things that I represent the small businesses here.
What do you own a business yourself?
Yes, I own 3 businesses. When I graduated college, I got a $12,000 check from my parents to say, go buy a car. And this is in 2007. Wow, this is hard out there now. There's no one has jobs. This is when the collapse started. I started a business in the hardest economic time since the Great Depression. Not 1 but 3 businesses.
You and me both.
What are they?
Well, we started. When gas prices went all very high, we started with scooters, and we worked up our way. We started with scooters. We bought one. We actually bought 14. We bought 14 of them, and we sold them. And then we doubled, and then we just kept going. We were just very frugal with our money, and then the law changed. We started a motorcycle licensing company. Now I have 30% of the market here in Lee County. I've licensed probably between 2,000 and 3,000 of our residents that know Chauncey Solinger on a name basis, because I've taught them how to ride a bike.
Oh, like motorcycle safety classes?
Motorcycle safety classes.
Oh,
I have one
cool.
going on today over at Estero High School.
Okay.
And then another law came about, and these are all. I've been working with the state for 4 or 5 years now with these agencies. I'm very familiar with how they work, and these are all been the last 2 that I'm particularly. I love these businesses. They were passed by legislation to become, hey, these are required. Like to get a motorcycle license, you have to go through a class.
Right.
The other one is called the ETR program, and that's when if you go to a dealership and you buy a car, the little paper tags you see in the back of cars, well, that's my company.
That makes the paper tag?
I'm not to make the paper tag. I'm the one that issues the tags with the software for the state.
Oh, really?
I'm one of 10 companies in the state of Florida that do that.
Wow, that's interesting. I thought those paper tags came from like the DMV or
I
something.
thought it came from the prison.
They do come they actually do come from the prison.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's Pride.
So
it's Pride Enterprises.
Is it Pride?
It's Pride Enterprises.
We buy some stuff
We
from
buy
them.
some stuff from them.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's cool.
So my experiences in small businesses and doing this in the hardest economic time since the Great Depression has given me some
perspective, I bet.
Some unique perspective that the other candidates just don't have.
Or would you be willing to open up your tax records for the last 10 years?
Oh, yeah.
The last 10 years. Back when he was in college,
I
high
want to know
school.
what you did in college. I want get some
Did you inhale?
stories
No, no.
here. That's right.
One of the things when I graduated high school here, I was actually I was adopted by a local minister at Grace Presbyterian Church just about a mile south of the studio.
No kidding.
And they helped me through high school and in college, and this is one of the reasons I'm running. Is this is what's going to help our community, is the fact that there are good people in this community that want to give back, and I've been giving back. The fact that raised up by my grandfather, who was a fire commissioner. He's one of the first fire commissioners at Tice, and then when I was adopted when I was in high school by Frank and Ann Eichinger, they just give, and these people just give, and this is the kind of I want to give back to the community now, and I can do this with my experience in small business budgeting. And I can take that to the state level and use some common sense government to help our small businesses and our residents. And instead of working against our residents and small business, we need to work with them and ask the question, why? Well, why is this a rule? Why is this a regulation? And how can we help them instead of how can we regulate them?
I'm with you on that. And we're going to get into some of that in a little bit, some of the sales and use tax stuff. And it's refreshing to hear from someone that's your age, out of college, only a few years. You got the business experience you've got. Started the businesses in the worst economic time, which, by the way, is the same time I started my business. And it teaches you to grow conservatively with the money you have. You can't go live a luxurious lifestyle. You've got to use every penny to reinvest in the business to keep it growing and to pay your employees. And so I respect that, and I can appreciate that. With that said, when you get into office, there's going to be a lot of challenges ahead of you, and a lot of future politicians, they tout what they're going to do first. So I would like to know, what's the first thing that you would like to do if you're elected to this seat?
Well, that's easy.
Make sure you tell us something that's actually viable.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, everything. From being in a small business standpoint, you always have to know what's an actual achievable goal and can it actually happen. And that's how my whole platform. I wrote a business plan for my office, just like I wrote a business plan for my businesses, and that's the only way it should be gone about. Now, the first thing I would do was I would begin to start a website, district76.com or whatever it would be called. This would give us the opportunity to interface with the local residents and let them know what is being passed and put it into simple terms that anyone can understand.
So is it going to have like a blog where the residents can communicate back or something like that? Or
how much does it cost for you to go on email? Nothing.
Right.
Why are we not giving an email or a login to all of our residents here so they can give us some feedback?
That's it. So basically, it'd be an electronic complaint file form where people can call and say, "Hey, I don't like this."
Anyone can complain to me as a state representative because I will be available for them in their concerns.
And they need that. I mean, that's so hard for us to find is as a small business owner or even as a resident, just a citizen that you come with your everyday problems and what pops up each day. You don't know who to contact. But if you've got something, a platform like that for the people, that sounds like an awesome idea. I really like that.
Yeah, and it's more than just that, because every bill that's passed, whether it's what's going through in January or through January to March, whenever when it happens, because it happens every year around that time. As soon as I'm elected, I'm going to start working on those bills, and I'll make a YouTube video, and I'll work with local lawyers, local economic teachers. I'll work with anyone that can help disseminate these bills and explain them to local residents. Say, hey, this is how it affects you.
And you can come on our radio show and tell them about
absolutely. And
yeah.
it'll be.
Are you gonna have music in your video?
I don't know.
Maybe any topless dancing. I mean, yourself with a shirt off. Or anything.
You're just gonna sit there and just be, oh, this is we don't want to.
You got to make it interesting.
Is that it's
CS in the house.
It's not about just being interesting. It's about Solinger. Letting people know how it's going to affect them, and that doesn't happen right now.
Right.
When's the last time you called your state representative or were able to get a hold of that person?
Hardly ever.
Okay, that's going to change when I'm elected.
I heard you. You heard that, folks. It's going to
Nice.
change.
That'd be nice. You got any questions for Chauncey? Give us a call at 239-277-9600, 775-9600. Chauncey Solinger in studio with us today. There's always questions about the community. What can politicians do to make the community a better place? Is there anything really that you can actually bring to the table for that?
Yes. As a legislator, the first thing I'll do is make sure that our businesses and our residents can get away from the red tape that government's already on. There's a business on Old 41 and Bonita Beach Road. It's a donut shop. Now, that road has been eminent domain in front of their property. You know how hard it is to get in that business? You have to do a U-turn, take another left, do another U-turn, and go right to get in their business.
Is that the old Dairy Queen looking building?
The old Dairy Queen.
The donut shop there? You talking about the donut shop there?
I went and spoke with him.
I saw all the police officers there. I was wondering what was going on.
I went over there and I asked them, hey, how can I help you as a state representative? And they said to me,
buy some donuts.
They go, all we wanted was an entrance.
Right. They need access to their business.
They're already doing work. Why would government work against and not with this business and make an entrance to their business?
We see that time and time again where a road gets put in or the road gets widened. You clearly see that there should be a turn lane here, but yet they don't. So they wait till down the road so they can come back and chop up the road to then put in a turn lane. So, I think it's just endless work for road workers.
Well, here's the deal. They could have done it for probably no extra cost just to open an entrance there. But when they asked for an entrance, it's $61,000 extra dollars. That doesn't make any sense because they could have done it for nothing because they were already doing the work. And
think about the revenue over time that would give the state and the local area.
That's if that
business can stay open.
Yeah,
you could actually eliminate speed traps.
Maybe. I don't know where that comes into. You mean like the red light cameras?
Yeah, that's right.
I got something on that later. I got something on that,
right, man.
You need something like that with all the tickets you get.
I know.
Another issue we're having is in the last 4 years, we had something called stagnant growth here, and we're just not growing. And our revenue, our general revenue especially, we never really had to raise tax in the past because we've always relied on new residents coming to the area, new people buying homes, and that's not happening right now. So we're going to see budget shortfalls because other programs, Medicaid, the food stamps, these kind of programs, unemployment are going up.
Well, Rick Scott was just telling how great the economy was doing in Florida recently, and then he was told to be quiet because Romney didn't want him to tell him how everybody was doing so well. It was great. It was on the news.
Rick Scott is excellent, but you understand that every year these programs go up.
And
Okay.
it's not by his choosing.
No.
No, but he's an excellent. I believe he's an excellent leader for our state. Just because
I know we got to keep him out of health care.
Well, here's the deal though. Either we're gonna have to raise taxes or cut, or the other thing we can do, and this is what I propose, is enforce taxes that we're not collecting already in specific areas, especially in the auto industry. And I have a plan.
When you say enforce collecting taxes that are not being enforced now, are you saying that there's taxes that are not being collected, or
our state's quick to either raise tax or cut programs, but we have an opportunity here to raise revenue by every bit of $100 million a year without raising taxes and just enforcing fees for tax dodgers. And I'll explain to you.
Okay, so people that aren't paying it.
If you go on Craigslist and you buy a car for $20,000,
okay,
there's a good chance that person's going to pay $8,000. Like they're going to go to the DMV and say, "Oh, I paid $8,000 for this car."
Sure.
That's $12,000.
Is that not right?
At times 0.06, that's not being collected. Now, if that happens 3 times a day in 67 counties, that's $50 million a year in uncollected tax. That if whether or not we're going to have to raise tax or not, we're going to have a budget shortfall, and either we're going to have to cut programs or we're going to have to raise revenue. And at least I have a clear path and a plan to raise revenue, and all we have to do it's very simple. We just need to make transactions that aren't like in a dealership standpoint, more like a real estate transaction, and it just makes it fair. Because if we don't do that, then all of a sudden all the other tax
We can just legalize everything and tax everything.
Well, this
sounds like Ron Paul.
That's right.
That's right.
We're going to have to collect this tax
taxed.
anyways.
Sure.
And it's you and me and our residents here in Lee County that are suffering because we're going to have to raise taxes somewhere else in the state if we don't collect what was already due.
And I just, I hear what you're saying, and I think it probably is a good thing. But God, anytime I hear just even the word collecting tax or tax, my head just wants to explode because it seems like we're already taxed out of our minds, or at least the people that pay tax are. And I'm assuming you're referring to people that they make transactions, then they illegally, hide their
and it hurts the consumers too. Because what happens when you buy a car from someone and then it breaks down? It's not like a dealer that they're regulated and they have a bond and everything. You
got warranty.
You're SOL. You're out of luck. Hey, thanks for buying this car from me for $20,000. Now it's your problem. Now there's no consumer protection either, and that's what it's about. It's protecting the consumer and enforcing instead of raising taxes, and just enforce the ones we already have.
Sure.
Why should you have to pay it and then someone else not have to?
Well, I do agree with that. And that's something I think that if as it comes further down the pike and we can have it explained real thoroughly, I'd love to hear about it in detail, just to make sure that we're not missing any hidden loopholes that are going to affect the small business person.
Well, I'm going to come to leaders in our community and anyone who wants to go to our local website here and voice their concern. And I will call everybody back that calls me, and that's not going to happen if anyone else is elected.
That wouldn't happen if I was in office.
Smitty, you want to take this call,
Let's
buddy?
take a call. See what's going on.
Hey, caller, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. What you got for us?
Hey, guys. I hear you talking about taxes.
Yes, sir.
I've lived in Florida for 15 years, worked in Florida for 15 years.
We're glad of it.
Well, actually, I worked out of town because work dried up.
Yeah.
What is anybody's plan I work for a company now, huge company, national construction company.
I'm proud of you.
We pay our subcontractors who I would say are 80% illegal aliens. It's legal the way we do it. We pay them for work completed. What they do with the money after that to pay the people that are helping them, we don't know, we don't care. But we know they're not paying taxes.
Gotcha. That's very true.
They're not paying taxes on that money.
So your concern is
a big contractor right here in Fort Myers was caught building a jail with non-tax paying people. The contractor doesn't pay the taxes. They don't have to pay their 941s.
And there's no consequence.
And there's no consequence.
It just goes on and on and on and on.
And if you tighten that up and tap that, but it's so hard. You have Joe's Landscaping. I've seen him go to the bank. He cashes a check, comes out, pays cash.
Yeah.
Millions and millions and millions of dollars.
It's true.
that aren't being paid in taxes.
So you're basically saying that there's plenty of revenue we can get. We just got to be targeting the people that aren't, kind of like Chauncey's saying here, that there's people out there that are doing it.
Resources.
They're doing it illegally and they're getting away with it. And if we just collected all that tax, we'd be in a much better position.
But you have to go after.
There's no teeth in the law.
Source. You have to go after the source. The companies know they're doing it. But
I agree.
Touches the companies, and you're not going to control what comes across the border.
No,
you're
not.
never going to control that.
Hey, caller, we appreciate it.
Thanks for
we'll
calling.
touch on that, buddy. So, Chauncey, you heard what the caller said. I mean, he's got a great, and it's something we've heard many times.
Many times.
It's been talked about all the time. And I tell you what, before we get into the heart of that, let's take a quick break. Folks, when we get back, we got Chauncey Solinger in the studio with us, running for state rep. Phone lines are 239-277-9600 and 775-9600. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody, it's Stan and Haney, and we're back from vacation.
All this week, we're giving away tickets to see Uncle Ted. Ted Nugent.
At Revolution Live in Fort Lauderdale, August 7th.
For more information on the show, visit 96krock.com.
Win Ted Nugent tickets all this week with us, Stan and Haney.
Got me a rock and roll band, it's a fever all.
And 96 K-Rock.
Securing your family, your business, your property. That's what's important in your world. No matter how big, no matter how small, secure your world with Imperial Fire Alarm and Security today.
Imperial Fire Alarm and Security is a local company with hometown service, the way it should be. One call to Imperial will align you with the most effective fire alarm security and surveillance systems, as well as state-of-the-art wireless monitoring. If you're a property manager or condo association member, ask about Imperial's wireless monitoring systems to replace costly and unreliable phone lines and save your community thousands. From individual homes to large communities, Imperial Fire Alarm and Security can secure your world.
Don't you think it's time to secure your world? Imperial Fire Alarm and Security services Lee, Charlotte, and Collier counties. Learn more at imperialfiresecurity.com or to schedule your free consultation, call 239-288-6482. Secure your world at imperialfiresecurity.com.
License number EF2000046.
When it comes to finding a reliable general contractor, you need to pick someone with a solid background and a good reputation. D-Squared Construction gives you all that and more. They are family owned and operated and stand behind every project. Quality workmanship and satisfaction to the customer has made them one of the premier contractors in Southwest Florida since 2004. Small residential renovations to large commercial projects, they do it all. And they do it all well. Your projects are much too important to trust just anyone. D-Squared Construction will come to your house or commercial project and give you a free on-site estimate. Call Kevin Dwyer at 239-561-4108. That's 239-561-4108 for a free consultation and some good sound advice. They won't waste your time or your money. D-Squared Construction, when it needs to get done right.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
Welcome back, the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96 K-Rock. Phone numbers are 277-9600 or 239-775-9600. Check out the live stream at theledgeradioshow.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/The Ledge Radio Show. And back in studio with us is State Representative candidate Chauncey Solinger.
Recap a little bit about that last caller.
The last caller called in. He was concerned about basically illegal workers, people that are here illegally, but they are working, but they're getting paid cash. They don't pay their taxes. They don't pay payroll taxes. And the concern is, okay, so we're trying to get revenue for the state, or the state's trying to get revenue for themselves to pay for the programs and the state, all the state stuff they got to do, but we're not going after folks like this. But off the air, we were kind of talking that, there is a solution for it, and it's not necessarily hiring a bunch of new federal or state agents to go police the lawn care guys or the, whatever, to follow them around, make sure that they're paying their taxes, but maybe make the immigration process easier or more viable, or even issue some type of a work visa so that they're here legally to work, and then they can pay their taxes.
Sure, that's exactly what Marco Rubio was talking about. It is so hard to immigrate here legally, because anything that the government is involved in is infinitely difficult.
Yes.
So what do we do to make it easier? I mean, we're all.
Well, we should make it hard to be a little bit. We don't want people just walking in the border, man.
But it's ridiculous.
Listen, they're already walking in the border.
I got Habib standing at the gate going, we like you very much, and then you come on in. It's like,
is that what Habib talks?
Yeah.
What we need to do.
It's a mixture between Chinese and Habibi.
Like, this is what we need to do. If just like Marco Rubio's talking about, we need to basically, like, the people that are here. It's a huge deal, okay? I mean, why are we trying to? We can't force our businesses to police themselves with this. They're trying to stay in business. They got to do whatever they can to stay in business, and so we can't blame them. It's the fact that it's so easy to come over here illegally, and it's so hard to come over here legally. And if they come over here legally,
you
got to
blame somebody. You got to blame somebody.
Well, you do. You blame the government for making such a ridiculous program trying to become legal.
I know, but I know you, and I know if somebody comes into your businesses or business and comes in wants to get hired, and you even have an inkling of a doubt that something ain't right, man, you ain't gonna hire him, and you'll dig tooth and nail on every bit of information this guy has to make sure that he is legal and that he's not a terrorist and all the above. And I know
I won't hire him if he's a liberal. What are you talking about?
Here's the real issue, and if we want to talk about it, we got people blaming others, and these small businesses are trying to figure out a way to stay in business. The problem is jobs, and if you figure out how to bring jobs to this area, you're going to figure out how to lower Medicaid. Medicaid's 40% of our budget right now.
40% of the state budget is Medicaid.
40% of our state budget is Medicaid.
That's a lot of old folks here, man.
That's also
that's not all old folks.
That's subsidized $10-11 billion on top of that.
Coming from the federal?
And then there's also local subsidies that we have, so I mean, that's just one aspect. And the other one is unemployment and food card. Now, these are all programs that are becoming larger and larger in our state budget and the federal budget.
Sure.
The only way that we can combat all these is one way. If we can get jobs here, people can buy their own health care, they can buy their own food, and they're not going to be on unemployment. So how do we do that? And that's the question. We need to incentivize businesses to come to our company.
We repeal NAFTA, and we bring all the jobs back from Mexico that we sent over there that were supposed to give us so many more jobs. Everybody sold us on NAFTA, and look what happened. Look what happened.
We have an opportunity here. We have great infrastructure in Lee County to bring manufacturing to some parts of our area and just distribute large shipping crates here in Lee County. And Rick Scott's doing the right thing by getting our ports ready for the super tankers that are going to be coming through the Panama Canal here.
I hope they're bringing gold.
And we're going to be a hub
bringing
here
a lot
in
of
Lee
stuff
County.
From Colombia.
We're going to bring jobs here to Lee County.
I didn't want to say it.
If we could have some little, just drug distribution outlets, like instead of
illegal,
instead of the Obamacare exchanges, we'll have drug exchanges.
I know we like to joke about the marijuana thing, but actually, there's been some discussion about legalizing marijuana and taxing it.
That's the only reason why they would legalize it. Well, there's two reasons.
And taxing it.
One, they could tax the crap out of it.
They can tax the living crap out of it.
It would relieve a lot of police officers from having to deal with marijuana busts.
But they'd be at the donut shops all day. They would forget it, man.
They'd be all high eating donuts.
Oh, man. Ridiculous.
Got the munchies.
Car 51. I'm busy, man. All right, dude.
Well, I've got a question for you. It's and we'll get back to some state level questions, but I think this affects the state as well. What would you see as the implications that our state would face by not implementing Obamacare, legal challenges, that kind of thing? Because Rick Scott said, hey, we're going to wait and see what happens in November, and I'm all for that. I'm saying let's not. I say just pull away, period, and go. We ain't doing that crap.
Here's the deal, and this is obviously a federal issue right now. It could potentially become a state issue, but what they're proposing is making Medicaid. They're going to expand Medicaid, and it's going to be a $20 billion subsidy to our state a year.
Just to the state, 20 more billion.
$20 billion more dollars, and that's till 2017. The problem is no one sees that where is this money coming from, and they're just printing it out of nowhere, and it's going to cause a tax in our food prices and our energy because it's going to inflate our dollar more, and that means it's going to be more expensive. It's going to be $10 for a loaf of bread in 10 years if we keep this up, and no one sees it. Hey, we're going to pay for healthcare whether it's through subsidies or whether it's through bread at the supermarket. It's going to affect us.
Yeah, that's a shame. I mean, that's
and again, if we just focus on the real issue here instead of trying to cover wounds, is bring jobs back to Florida, bring jobs back to America.
Is that something you think you can help with?
Absolutely.
At your
Rick
position?
Scott's doing a great job. He's going to all these multinational companies and saying, "Hey, come to Florida. We're open for business." And if we get jobs here, again, people can buy their own.
You think maybe when the new companies get here, they'll send them an email and tell them what the sales and use tax are that they'd be required to pay? Because I got a great story about that. You know, so you got a business that's been open for 3, 4, 5 years, then all of a sudden you get a sales and use tax audit. And then you come to find out that you know they expected you to be charging tax for all these different services that no one's ever charged in their life, and that businesses just like that one have never ever charged. And then when you ask the tax auditor, hey, how often do you find that companies don't know they were supposed to be charging this tax? And the auditor says, oh, usually just at the audit. So it's like, what do you mean just at the audit?
Surprise.
Surprise. Yeah, exactly. Oh, by the way, here's a bill for $30,000.
But then he turns around and says, but it's the cheapest labor in the nation, Florida. What else do you want?
You know, my response to that is, if your job at the Department of Revenue is to collect tax for the state, do something easy. And you and I were talking about it off the air. You know, we've all got laptops or iPads or whatever here.
Made in China.
Wherever they're made. I don't care where they're made. But, you know, send an email to a business owner. It's quick, it's easy, it probably costs nothing, and it lets him know what his tax responsibilities are. Then you can collect all those taxes.
Here's the deal. When we go to the DMV and get a driver's license, with that driver's license, why can't we get an email or some sort of just an email that, hey, now everything's being sent to this email, or you can link it to your email. Now anything that's coming down from the pipe, you know what's going on.
Any changes, any business changes, any tax changes, any of that stuff, that's kind of important to know until you find out from the auditor that, oh, by the way, now you're small business, now you owe this much money, sorry. And when you say, man, that would close my business.
Think of all the spam I already get. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
But I would rather
more
have
emails?
that spam.
What do you want, Chauncey?
Well, that's something I would love to see you guys work on at the state level, is communication with the business owners, because that alone will kill small businesses.
It already is.
When a small business has a budget of $4,000 or $10,000 a week to pay their payroll, pay their overhead, then they get hit with a $30,000 sales and use tax audit fine, or whatever they call it, and you got to pay it within 30 days. That's like, all right, I'll just close my doors. It's cheaper for me to close my doors than to try to pay this to the state, when you guys could have told me up front what to expect, and that's what they do to you.
Well, when I started my business, it took 4 months to get all the licenses to go through the state and the local and the countywide regulations and licenses I had to get.
Oh yeah.
It's easier to go and join unemployment than it is to start business in Florida here, and that's going to change. We have to change this, because businesses that are doing well it's in spite of government, not because of it.
That's true. Now, you know, Smitty and I, we talk all the time about this. And, you know, he always comes up with these great schemes and great plans of how to make more money. And
none of them have panned out so far
yet, but we're almost there. We're on the breaking edge.
We are,
But
man.
he'll bring an idea to me, and he's like, hey, man, I'd like to start a business with this. I'm like, yeah, but you actually have to have a license for that. Well,
and money.
No,
and money.
You don't. I'm like, dude, you got a license. You got to have insurance.
You got to have a license to have a lemonade stand.
Yes, you do. I remember seeing that.
That's ridiculous.
That's crazy. I remember doing stuff like that as a kid, selling little trinkets and stuff.
And then the Department of Health gets involved.
Yes, shuts you down.
How about the brainstorm I just had this morning? The cookie of the year, Fig Mint Newtons. Okay.
Well, you just
Fig Mint Newtons.
You just let the cat out of the bag. That was our next $1 million idea.
I'm a giver. Fig Mint Newtons diet breakfast bar. Man, I'm telling you, it's waiting.
Disgusting.
It's waiting out there.
You know, if you think you can sell the
Chauncey's
idea,
liking it.
If you think you can sell the idea of mint to Nabisco, they haven't already thought of that. They probably already have those.
They don't have me. Come on.
They got strawberry Fig Newtons.
That ain't the same as a Fig Mint.
I haven't eaten a Fig Newton since I was a kid when my grandma used to make me eat
You put
them.
a mint in there, you would.
I don't think so. All right, here we go. Here's another question. What makes you the most qualified for State House?
That's very simple. Go down the road in my district and see how many businesses are supporting the small business candidate. Everywhere you go, there's signs of Chauncey Solinger, vote Chauncey Solinger everywhere in Lee County and District 76, because I have the support of Lee County, and I have my sensible budgeting and policy-making decisions in business directly translate to the legislator. So when I go up there, I know from a small business standpoint, hey, when I started my business, I ate Power Bars and orange juice because that's what I could afford to do.
And ramen noodles.
And so when you're starting a business and you're doing this with a limited budget and you're saying, hey, I'm either going to have to spend my money doing this or I'm going to have to save it so I can buy more inventory. That's the kind of representation we need at the state when it's budgeting our tax dollars, because it comes down to how do we get the best return on our tax dollars. And I have the best ideas and the way to do that. And that's from my small business, very frugal standpoint. Hey, it has to have a return on our tax dollar investment to make any sense. And if it doesn't, we need to. It has to go.
When I realized what made my small business start to work even better, when I stopped spending so much time at the bar during the day. That really helped. I thought that's how you sold product, but it turned out that it just drained money out of my wallet.
You're another business.
Yeah, I was really surprised that it just took money out of my wallet. So now that I don't do that anymore, and I actually concentrate, stay in the office.
That was his idea of a stimulus package, going to the bar.
It was stimulating. Well, anyway, phone number's 277-9600 or 239-775-9600 if you're out of the area. Sick Rick, how close are we to break? We there? Okay, we got a little bit then. I got another. Now, that last question, I think it ties into the next one even, because to distinguish yourself from the other candidates, I mean, is that the main difference? Do the other candidates not have your business experience?
Well, no, one of them actually does, but he lives an hour away. He has no ties to our community whatsoever.
Why would he run for this area? Because it's the only open seat?
Well, yes, that's because it's an open seat, and he lost his last election.
Ooh.
Well, that's not a bad thing. Now, a lot of people lose. I mean, look, Ronald Reagan took him 3 tries to become president. So
Lincoln. Look, Chauncey's like, don't
bring that up. Well, and now what about? And now your other guy at FGCU, does he not? Is he not a business?
Well, look, these guys they're great guys, and and when it comes down to it, I'm sure they'll do an excellent job as a legislator as well. The reason why I'm the best is not just like we're all going to go up there and balance the budget. That is a law required by our state constitution. Mm-hmm. But I have the best ideas on how to raise revenue and how to bring sensible small business budgeting to our state. And I will be the most available resident or
resident too.
Representative.
I'll be the most available representative to our community that we've never seen before. And I have ideas on how to increase communication and our revenue in my first term.
Well, that's what we need. I mean, as long as increasing revenue is done the smart way, and it sounds like that's your idea. It's not by just more taxes and things like that.
We don't need any taxes. We just need to make sure we collect the ones we already have.
The position that you're running for and all the other guys, what is the annual salary for that position?
It's $30,000 a year. Okay. And it's
you can have it.
Yeah. Listen, it's.
It's not a full-time job.
I'm not doing it for the
no.
money, but it is a full-time job. When you come back, you have to be available to the residents, and I'm the only one that has my business set up to where I can be available to the residents.
No perks.
What happens to the
like
gentleman that works at FGCU when he has to report to his boss? He's not going to be available to you and the rest of us. Mm-hmm. And the other guy, the other opponent, his business is for the most part an hour away. How is he going to be available to you as a resident?
I guess by phone. I don't know.
Email, spam.
Spam emails. Well, now that's something else, too, that, when you've got to be available to the community, when our legislature's out of session for 10 months out of the year, I mean, so you guys are only in for 2 months.
And it could go in overtime.
Okay. Is that if there's like a big issue going on?
We have to balance the budget. If the budget's not balanced before we leave, then it's
then you stay?
Going.
Really? So you guys could just stay and just hammer it out, and it could be 3 months.
Yeah.
You guys wouldn't run away like the Democrats did up in Wisconsin and run to another state so they wouldn't have to vote on anything?
Yeah, he might. What was his name? Jesse Jackson Jr.?
Yeah, he
just disappeared.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
And now I saw something on that though, and I don't know what the issue was. It sounds he's got some type of mood.
No, nut attack. Had a nut attack.
Maybe that's what it was.
I'm sure it's a disorder. I mean, I'm sure Medicaid's Medicare's going to cover it, or the congressional
congressional
Medicare's going to cover it.
We all know people have had nut attacks.
All right, let's take our last break, and when we get back, we'll have more with Chauncey Solinger. This is the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. We'll be right back.
96 K-Rock goes live. 4 stages and 4 bands equals 2 hours of kick-ass rock and roll.
Saturday night at 10.
K-Rock Live on 96 K-Rock and 96krock.com.
Securing your family, your business, your property. That's what's important in your world. No matter how big, no matter how small, Secure your world with Imperial Fire Alarm and Security today.
Imperial Fire Alarm and Security is a local company with hometown service, the way it should be. One call to Imperial will align you with the most effective fire alarm security and surveillance systems, as well as state-of-the-art wireless monitoring. If you're a property manager or condo association member, ask about Imperial's wireless monitoring systems to replace costly and unreliable phone lines and save your community thousands. From individual homes to large communities, Imperial Fire Alarm and Security can secure your world.
Don't you think it's time to secure your world? Imperial Fire Alarm and Security services Lee, Charlotte, and Collier counties. Learn more at imperialfiresecurity.com or to schedule your free consultation, call 239-288-6482. Secure your world at imperialfiresecurity.com.
License number EF2000046.
When it comes to finding a reliable general contractor, you need to pick someone with a solid background and a good reputation. D Squared Construction gives you all that and more. They are family owned and operated and stand behind every project. Quality workmanship and satisfaction to the customer has made them one of the premier contractors in Southwest Florida since 2004. Small residential renovations to large commercial projects, they do it all, and they do it all well. Your projects are much too important to trust just anyone. D Squared Construction will come to your house or commercial project and give you a free on-site estimate. Call Kevin Dwyer at 239-561-4108. That's 239-561-4108 for a free consultation and some good sound advice. They won't waste your time or your money. D Squared Construction, when it needs to get done right.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Why should you want to know? Don't you mind about the future?
Welcome back to the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96K Rock. The phone numbers are 277-9600 or 239-775-9600. Check out the live stream at theledgeradioshow.com. You can also find us at facebook.com/The Ledge Radio Show. And back in studio with us is Chauncey Solinger, running for state rep. And Chauncey, I want to get your opinion on some news that just came out. It was just a day or so ago. From Drudge, Condoleezza Rice is near the top of Romney's VP shortlist. What do you think about that?
Well, she definitely has the experience as Secretary of State, and I believe she would be an excellent candidate. It's just make sure that she aligns with the goals of the party, and I believe she does.
She said time and time again, "I will not take the position."
That's what they always say, though.
They always do.
I just think it's
that way. You know why they say that? To keep the media off of them.
I think that Romney's smart for asking her, but I think it's just smoke and mirrors.
To me,
smoke and mirrors. He's making it look like he's going for the female
for the black and the female
black,
vote. Yeah.
And everybody's going, "Oh, he really likes her," but really, he's not going to pick her. He's picking somebody else.
He might. Well, he probably pick a safe one like Rob Portman, who no one's ever heard of.
I think he's going to pick Palente.
I hope not. I mean, I liked Palente at first, but man, he was just terrible in the debates. That's the way I saw it. But, what do you want to take another call?
Let's take a call real quick. I know, I'm sorry. But people call up. I like to talk to them.
All right. Caller, you're on the Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty. Caller, are you there?
Yeah.
All right. What you got, bud?
Hey, I have a question for Chauncey.
Okay.
Understandably that the legislation in the state of Florida has an increase in minimum wage every couple of years. But until that time, what are we going to do about the low wages here in Florida? It just seems like
they are terrible.
Not really.
Yeah, when I was
out the lower and middle class.
When I was 16, I worked for Domino's Pizza.
Thanks, caller.
And it was actually funny because if they're a federal company, they have to pay federal. They can pay federal wages. If they're only a state company, they have to pay state wages. So even though when I was in 16, I think the state had already raised it to like $6 an hour. I was only getting paid $5.15 an hour
because the federal is $5.15.
And I'm just like, I'm working 30 hours a week and making like $80.
Yeah, but that's nice. But he said, "What are you going to do about it?" He didn't want to know how tough it was for you growing up working at Domino's. I can go back further. I worked at a worse place than Domino's.
Sure. What we can do about it is make sure that we get the red tape off these businesses so they can hire more people. But this is a big deal. I've seen it personally where to have someone on the books, it costs you $12, $13 an hour, and you can only pay them $8 and $9 an hour.
Well, actually, I'll give some more.
Well, they do have an option.
On that.
They can either pay the low wages or get the illegal aliens. Either way.
No, here's the way it works. I mean, in the real world, you have what's called a loaded labor rate. Okay, and your loaded labor rate is based on the salary, what you're paying your employee, plus benefits, plus if they've got a gas card, a company truck, workers' comp, all that stuff. All that stuff adds up, and when you divide that into his hourly wage, if you start out as $10 an hour, it might actually cost you $22 an hour, depending on your benefit package. If you've given them a take-home vehicle or gas card, all that kind of stuff. So, even if I'm paying a guy $20 an hour, it could actually cost me $45 an hour to have him employed. So, employees, they see it and they go, oh man, this guy's only paying me, $750. Well, he's paying you $750, but it's costing him $14 to have you. So you got to think about the implications of that too. And there's been some big discussions about whether or not minimum wage was ever a good thing or not. I mean, so
I think it's a great thing.
Well, good. I'll pay you minimum wage. Okay. You're on it.
All right.
Excellent. You're there. Plus commission.
Look, it's tough for anybody, and I
guess I'm gonna quit tomorrow.
You can't raise a family.
Today.
You can barely even feed a family off $10 an hour these days.
It's great living in Florida.
How can you? I mean,
right.
You work 40 hours a week. You're getting paid even $10 an hour, which is above minimum wage. After you get taxed and everything,
not enough.
You can't afford to get back and forth to work.
I don't think the rate so much is that you got to remember the rate is low, but it a lot of people are trying to support a family. I mean, you're talking about moms, with kids, and they're out there working at the lower wage places, and there's $7 an hour, $7.50. How can you even support anybody?
Sure.
Look,
it's terrible. It's horrible.
Whoever's our next congressional candidate realizes that we're spending all this money for unemployment and food cards, and then we're sending all our jobs overseas. Why don't we incentivize businesses to come back here and give us businesses here instead of subsidizing everything else and then sending our jobs overseas?
You mean like the 18,000 companies that have their bank accounts over in the Cayman Islands? Are you talking about
those
wrong? Guys?
Is that wrong?
Is that wrong? It's only business. That's what they always tell you.
If I knew the phone number of the Cayman Islands, I'd put my money there.
I got a good idea. We'll all take our money out of our banks and we'll take it and put it in the Cayman Island banks. And now we'll say, hey, we'll fix this. We'll fix this.
Look, the $3 you have ain't going to help.
Every bit counts, okay?
When people have that much money, they don't have to stay in America. They can go wherever they want.
And they do.
Okay? And then they will. And so we can't tax our highest, job creators.
Is that patriotic?
Well, it's not patriotic to be taxed to death either. And these
That's
people
correct.
have.
Don't you think they have loopholes? Don't you think they have loopholes?
Yeah, of course they do. And they're leaving. Why are they leaving? Because
on the surface, you're right. The tax rate is high, but you and I both know there are more loopholes in that book more than Carter's got liver pills. And although on the surface,
we just need to change that book then.
Yes, we do.
Get rid of it.
Absolutely.
Do the fair tax.
So we'll do something.
We need to figure out how we can keep businesses stay here, and really we need to make sure that we're protecting our citizens and not these multinational corporations, and that is a very
and the
big
small
concern.
businesses, because a lot of small businesses need a lot more help than the huge corporations. A lot more. I mean, I know
80
smaller
to 90% of our local economy is small business,
and they need the breaks.
And
you go up and down 41 from here to even Port Charlotte, and you see all the little side stores all the way up and down 41. Those are small businesses. That's who employs everybody.
I'm way for small businesses as opposed to the big corporations.
I know you are.
I am,
and I'm for that. And I just want to touch on something the caller mentioned earlier about the minimum wage. There's certain job skills that are required for certain positions.
English.
Well, that helps. But no, I'm saying specialty skills, which shouldn't be English. That should be a normal skill. But specialty skills, like depending on the trade you're in. If you're a true electrician, you're not going to go in at minimum wage. The owner is going to hire you based on your qualifications. And if he thinks you're awesome, that you're going to make him money, he's going to pay you as much as he can afford to keep you there, because he knows there's competition. And even though this is a business owner's market or an employer's market, we can set the rates right now to hire people. You still got to be able to keep those employees. And to do that, you got to keep them happy. You got to keep their wages up as much as you can. But some of the lower skilled positions,
sure,
those are in businesses typically.
I give them to the college kids, man, that need a couple bucks.
Sure, that's fine.
Because when I was younger,
but there's people that'll take it that aren't just college kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want to work, so you got to give them a job.
Absolutely, and it's heartbreaking to see a mother, like I said, with two kids working for $7 an hour, putting in 12-hour days while she can't even get health insurance. It's terrible in this country.
But remember though, an employer can't pay you based on your financial situation.
I understand.
They can't look at you and go, man, I know you got 3 kids and you're a single mother. I'm going to give you $25 an hour.
There is a place for the $7 an hour job.
Sure.
There is. But I just think it takes a lot more. People abuse it. They abuse it.
Well, maybe they might. But now I want to get back to this other thing too with Condoleezza, because I made up a little pros and cons list last night when I was doing my show prep. And some of the pros, like you mentioned, she's extremely smart. She'd probably be one of the smartest VPs we've had in quite a while.
She was smarter than her president.
Well, she was definitely smarter than, like, say, Dan Quayle. Definitely smarter than Joe Biden. And now
Smarter than Bush.
Now Cheney, I don't know. Cheney was a smart guy, so I'm not sure where that goes. But another pro is she could help pick up some of the black vote. She could definitely pick up some of the female vote, because there's a large group of the population that vote based on whether or not it's a female, whether or not they're the same. They're from the same area.
The man haters.
Now, maybe so. And she's also had the foreign relations experience. Whether we think some of that was good or some of that was bad, it was probably a mixed bag. But then there's the cons. There's the downside of it. The biggest downside?
Oil. She used to be the VP or something.
The biggest downside is that she was with George Bush for 8 years. And there's the media bashed him so bad that anything associated with George Bush just looks bad to a lot of folks. I can see through that smoke screen, but there's a lot of folks that can't. And, do you see the same thing, that she would be up against a hard...
As Secretary of State, she was really helping with, going overseas and everything. I think that people overlook that. I think she'd be a great candidate, and I think she helps give Romney a better shot at winning the election.
Than, say, a safe bet, than him picking like a Rob Portman or something like that. Because that guy, this is a name no one even knows. We've just come through this huge election cycle. We're almost to the primary. He's already secured the primary, the Republican nominee. But the thing is, you need to have a VP that just is like, it gives you some flash. Somebody that is like a rock star. Somebody that says, man, that now he's, we didn't really like Romney that much, but he's the only guy we've got on our side. But he just picked a great VP, and that's going to help solidify my vote for him. But instead, he's probably going to pick some safe guy that no one's ever heard of, that has no background, or came from a decent state but still has no background. And you look and you go, really? That's what your pick was? That it's so uneventful that you're like, it's just a letdown. Now, that's just the way I see it. Smitty, you got any comments on that?
No, I know she was involved with one of the oil companies. She was huge with one of them. I don't know which one it was.
You just hate oil, don't you? Just go plug your car in.
That's a plus to be involved with an oil company.
I think so.
Yeah, just ask Halliburton.
He uses Halliburton like it's a bad name.
It's horrible.
It's a bad word.
You look in the internet and find out which of the worst companies that made corruption and made money during the war, and Halliburton's like at the top.
I got you.
The worst.
I got you.
Cheney was involved.
Anything to do with Cheney, Bush, or Halliburton, you're just all against it because the media.
Those three are pretty good.
Because you're
That's
a sheeple and the media taught you that.
You know what? You're preaching it for me, brother. Speak on it.
So anyway, well, I guess we'll just wait and see what he comes up with, but I hope he's got something better. I'm not saying that she's not good. I think she's a good choice, but I would really like to see someone. And there was a poll last night.
I think she's a great choice.
She would be, but she's got some baggage. And it's indirect. It's not because of her. It's because of who she was with, and that really can bring her down. That's a shame because she brings a lot to the table. But last night I was watching the Hannity show. Sean Hannity show, and
I'm surprised.
Yeah, imagine that. But he had a bunch of a lot of political strategists in the studio audience, and they were all asked who should he pick, and like 95% of them said Marco Rubio. But I love that idea. I love the pick. I think that he brings that flash. But you know what scares me to death about it? We lose him as a senator.
Well, I believe Marco Rubio, why he's not being mentioned in the news anymore, is I don't think he's going to do it.
Think he's out?
I think he knows that he's got more political power and he can do more good as a senator than he can as a vice president.
It could be.
Can you imagine that? 2 Mormons running the country. Wow.
He's not Mormon.
Yes, he is.
It
was
makes
raised
no
Mormon.
difference. It doesn't matter.
What do you mean? It doesn't make a difference. He was raised Mormon.
Is he still
when you're a kid,
I believe he is.
But when you're a kid, you don't know what your parents are going to take you to. It's not it's not your fault, and whether or not it's.
Don't take offense. It's only facts, okay?
Yeah. Anyway, you know what? Harry Reid's a Mormon. That's the leader of your party, buddy.
He's a goofball too.
Well, he's a Mormon.
Well, you know what? It's whether or not. We can't make this a religious.
I have my special underwear I wear today from Mormons.
At least he's not a Scientologist. That's what I can say.
They're next.
Romney's got the business experience, and whatever he believes on his own accord, that's a freedom of religion. So it's
sure. That's the way it should be. But man, the media can slam the Mormon religion and get away with it. But you say a word about Islam and you're just excoriated in the media. How is that possible in America today? That's so ridiculous. You
got to watch more South Park. I think they go after.
They got in trouble, man. They got in trouble. They got some death threats. They got pulled off the air. Threatened to be pulled off the air because they drew a picture of Muhammad.
They did. Seth MacFarlane did crazy.
But no, that's my big fear with Rubio. It's not that I don't think he'd do a great job as VP, but and I'm almost relieved to hear that he may not do it, because I don't want to lose him as a senator. Because if we don't, even if we win the presidency, if we don't win the Senate, it's not going to matter. We'll be deadlocked. Harry Reid won't take any more, anything that Congress passes, he's not going to even vote on it. They won't even bring it to the floor.
It'd be like it is now.
That is how it is now. He won't vote on it. The Congress has passed like 100 bills. They won't vote on it.
Everybody will be independent.
Well, look, I think that the voters are fed up with how things are done, and especially the retirees know that they don't want to leave. They don't want to leave a country where it's heavily in debt. They don't want to be involved with that. And we have an opportunity here to take some personal responsibility for our choices and help
the country.
Help the country. And the way to do that is to say, hey, look, instead of handouts, we need to give hand-ups. And how are we going to do that? We're going to bring jobs back here and let people go to work. Instead of giving someone a long-term unemployment.
As long as it's profit over people, that's what you're going to have. And you got to have people involved, and you have to turn that whole mindset
it's
away.
It's going to be profit over people, or it's going to be government over people.
It makes for a good sound clip.
It
makes for a good sound clip to say hand up, the hand out. But let's face it, it's about people. It is about people.
What does all that mean, Smitty? What does all that mean?
It's over your head.
No, it's not. What does all that mean? You got a bunch of things you're saying that don't mean
nothing.
nothing.
You turn around saying, "Oh, it's a hand up and not a hand out." It's still
a big difference. It's a huge difference if you don't understand it.
It's a fine line between it. Yeah, you're right. If you're going to help somebody that really wants to help themselves, that's helping them.
That's a hand
But there's
up.
always going to be people out there that are just derelicts, that are just irresponsible, that you can't help.
But if you create
But you can't blend them together and go, "Oh, it's a hand up and not a hand out."
If you create that environment for them, if you create an entitlement society, a welfare state where they're just going to rely on the government to give them a check so they don't have to work.
That's your Tea Party. That's your Tea Party fanaticism talking.
That has nothing to do with Tea Party.
You're a fanatic. I grew up off Ortez, and I stood in the food. When I was a kid, I had to stand in those food stamp lines, so I know what it's like. And I knew what it's like to get my first paycheck, and I knew I didn't want to live that same life that I had to grow up in. And I made a difference in my own life, and that's the same thing we can do and teach our kids now. Hey, let's teach them how to
personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility.
That's
and that's
right.
when you vote for me, you're voting for personal responsibility in the state legislator.
Well, we can appreciate that, and I think that's something we can definitely agree on, and that's something that we've lost a lot of in this country and in this state is personal responsibility. Every time you see on television, on some commercial or on some TV show, it's basically teaching people to not be responsible. The Obama campaign just had to pull back on their on the campaign, and the USDA had to pull back on their advertisements, talking people into using food stamps. They've been on a huge ad campaign for 3 or 4 years now, showing how great food stamps are, trying to get people to use them. And in doing that, it increased the food stamp rolls 50%.
How crazy do people get when you throw a free T-shirt at them? That's the same thing that he's doing. He's literally throwing free food and free everything
They don't do
at
much
people.
for me when I throw a T-shirt at them.
No. You look at Jermaine Arena. People will trample each other for a free T-shirt.
Let me make this real clear. It's not the people that need it, okay?
Absolutely.
And I needed it when I was a kid, and my family needed it.
Absolutely.
But it's about getting people off of it onto their own accord.
When we're all in it together and we all come together, I think that's our strength. So let's hopefully we can put aside partisan differences and really work together.
If we bring jobs here,
absolutely,
people can pay their own insurance, people can pay for their own food, and people will be off unemployment.
You won't need the food
those
stamps.
are the biggest things we have a problem with in Florida here.
Yeah, Medicaid, all that stuff.
And then we can spend more money on teaching our kids how to be better consumers.
Where can they go to your website and check out what you're
my website is Vote Solinger. That's VOTESOLI, N as in Nancy, GER, votesolinger.com. If you live in my district, just go down the road. You'll see one of my signs.
Don't pull it out of the street, okay? Leave it in the yard.
Chauncey, we appreciate you being with us this week, and good luck in the campaign.
Good luck.
This has been go ahead.
I'll be at Marlita's Diner in San Carlos Park next to McDonald's for a meet and greet at 9:30.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll look for you there.
Well, good luck, my friend.
Everybody, we'll see you next week. The Ledge Radio Show with JD and Smitty on 96 K-Rock. Take care.